All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Artificial Intelligence webinar hosted by the Family Office Club. We're going to be covering our suite of AI tools called the Investor Super Intelligence Platform. It's a suite of GPT accelerators, essentially to help with navigating how to use AI, whether you're a founder, an investor, an allocator, a fund manager, or someone just looking to grow their business and scale faster. So I think that the point of today's webinar is to make things practical, to make them step by step, easy to implement. And we're going to go at 20,000 feet today relatively quickly. We'll aim to get the core of the content over to you within 1 hour. We're going to take Q&A, might go to 90 minutes or even 2 hours if we have a lot of questions. But we'll try to keep it relatively tight and get most of the content covered pretty quickly here. If you're new to our platform and community, my name is Richard C. Wilson. I started Family Office Club, our investor club, 18 years ago in 2007. We've hosted over 300 events over those 18 years. We've published over a dozen books. We've put out thousands of videos. We've had about 1,500 speakers on stage at those 300 events. We also acquired billionaires.com. We've interviewed 46 billionaires so far, and we share those interviews publicly at billionaires.com. And after doing that for so long, you end up collecting a lot of data, right? You end up gaining insights, new strategies, structures to use, ways to navigating transactions, what works, what doesn't. And you notice what everybody does who's very successful in the space and what a lot of people are doing who are the less successful than others, right? And you pick up on those trends. So what we've done is categorize and systematize what works, what doesn't, build that into multi-step tools, structured output, and have put over 100 million characters of data into the tool set that you're about to see. The difference between the webinar this week and our in-person laptops out workshops that are going to be hosted next week is that next week we're going to go through 25 to 30 tools instead of just going through today maybe a dozen tools or so. We're going to cover some of the most popular tools, but we're not going to have time for you to play around with them in real time. At the workshops next week, you're going to have your laptops out. We're going to have time to do Q&A. We're going to have time to have you try out for your business how to use these tools and make sure that you find them practical and valuable. So as we go through everything, I'd love for you to ask questions so that what I'm presenting is clear. Feel free to do so throughout the webinar, not just at the end. And I will share my PowerPoint now to get things started and make it a little more visual. And then what we're going to do in a minute is actually bring up the AI tools, and then we'll show some of the results in real time. A few where I've prepared the results, so we don't have to wait to upload a PDF or PowerPoint and wait for it to process, and other ones where we'll process the prompts and the inputs in real time and do like a real live demonstration of all of the tools. So we're going to jump right into the first couple slides of content here to share with you. I've covered most of these points up front, but our largest client is a billionaire that we've done well over a dozen deals with. We also work with smaller investors, angel investors, high net worth investors. We have a full spectrum of investors coming to our live events. And if you're a member in the Family Office Club, there is no extra cost to come to all of our events. It's included with the membership, as well as our membership portal, the AI tools, depending on your membership level. You might get access to 30 of the tools or all 40 plus, our investor databases with 22,000 investor profiles, again, depending on your level of membership. But it starts at just $249 a month for membership. And it includes all the events that you see here, which is 22 events this year, 30 next year. So a lot of chances to meet in person with investors, a lot of chances to figure out how to grow faster, be a stronger founder, better investor, raise capital faster, etc. So love for you, or happy that you're here today. Love for you to join us next week for our AI workshops. So here is one of just a couple kind of preface slides to really set up the webinar for today. The reality is that there is so much data to consume and so much data that's being created, but at any one point in time, you only care about 0.1% of it, or maybe 1% of it, right? And so how do you access that data in real time, have greater context, and be smarter, more decisive without blindly following what AI says, of course, right? It's the person with 10 or 20 years of expertise plus is leveraging AI and the super brain of AI, which is getting upgraded all the time, that's going to do best over time, I believe. It gives you greater clarity, can help with your positioning, can help you close more deals, help you get more meetings, help you be more concise and clear in your communications, and very importantly, more decisive. Bezos says that even with 1 million employees, it's very important to be decisive. I think when you're smaller, you have to be even more agile, right? And one statistic I like to always share when we do these types of webinars or events is that MIT as well as Harvard did two different studies and published the results. And they found that out of 1,000 knowledge workers, on average, using Copilot tools with AI, that they were 33% faster at getting their work done. They made 25% less mistakes, and it gave them an equivalent of a 12-point IQ boost. So if knowing how to use this for your niche can give you an effective IQ boost that's worth more than going and getting a 4-year degree, it's probably worth staying here for the next hour and coming to the workshops next week and really digging into this to make sure you get it. This slide is one of two or three that's just really important to remember anytime you're working with AI. You have to consider what AI platform you're using. Just like if you sit down with a cup of coffee with somebody who is in middle school and you ask them how to raise capital, how much possible experience could they have if you sit down at a table over dinner with 10 people who have all raised over $1 billion each? What do you think the results are going to be compared to sitting down with a middle schooler? It could be the nicest middle schooler in the world, but the data in their brain is not as developed as 10 people that have raised $1 billion each, right? Just to make an extreme example. So the data quality that goes into a system, the inputs are going to massively impact the outputs, right? The accuracy of the data, how timely it's updated, the clarity of the data, the focus of the data, the completeness of it, how quickly you can access your data. And is that data really dialed in to your exact niche and your exact needs? That is why there's not just one club called Business Club, because it's like, okay, well, is this helping manufacturing business owners? Is this helping hedge fund managers? Is this helping family offices? That's why we have Family Office Club, because it gives people peer-to-peer connections with other founders, investors. And if you're not familiar with the word family office, it basically means super founder or super entrepreneur that is very wealthy and has had a 7, 8, or 9 figure exit or is making 7, 8, or 9 figures a year. And the people who join our club are ones that aspire to get there or are there or on their path to getting there right now. And they're looking for investor connections, ways to grow, ways to scale up their balance sheet, et cetera. So remember this slide about data quality and how critical it is. We wanted to share just 4 or 5 slides up front, and this is one that we had to share. This is the other slide that goes with the previous one. This is why you can't do everything we're about to show you by just going to GPT or just going to Claude, et cetera. Because the way that the LLMs work, LLM is like ChatGPT or Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, et cetera, is it weights things that are more authority and trusted, obviously, very differently than it would weight content from, random Wikipedia page or a blog. But at the end of the day, it's crawling the internet and looking at all podcasts, all blogs, Wikipedia pages. It's looking at interviews. It's looking at news reports. It's looking at press releases. It's looking at all of this information from everyone in the world. Plus, like ChatGPT is something like 400 to 500 million users per week, close to 1 billion per month. All of those users' inputs get put into the LLM of GPT and OpenAI's data, right? And so if you look at all the types of data that go into that, how specialized is that to founders and investors and family offices? It's very not specialized, right? And so what we've done is taken thousands of investors have spoken on stage, transcripts from them, transcripts from billionaires giving public talks, books that I've written, workshops we've given, fireside chats with centimillionaires, data profiles and 22,000 investors, et cetera, and fed that all into our AI platform suite called Investor Super Intelligence. So if you agree that non-specialized data, junk data, mediocre data, middle schooler level intelligence data that just gets sucked in from everywhere on the web is probably not the best thing to be informing you on your decisions and your strategy and what you should do next, then that is why we built Investor Super Intelligence. And it's not just about the data. It's also the multi-steps that need to happen to parse that data, to organize the data, to focus on the most important parts of it, the steps to walk through how you add value to a process, and what we would normally say when consulting with a client or setting up a family office or advising someone on raising capital. After closing well over $500 million in transactions and deals myself, we've learned a lot about the steps in the process, but then also how do you structure the output and what do you do next? And the more that you dial in the data quality, all the steps within the process, the output, and what to do next, the more all of that is dialed in, the more amazingly powerful these tools become. And that is why we have 40 plus different artificial intelligence, little ChatGPT accelerator tools or booster tools, just to help the whole platform be more productive and more valuable for you. If you have any questions as you go, please let me know. I can see the chat up here. I can see Q&A. I don't see any questions yet, but feel free to post them in the chat if you have any as I'm talking. All right, so here is a high-level view of some of kind of our all-star tools that get the most frequency of use. These are the ones that we think if you understand and use even half of these, you're going to love the platform, see massive value, and really have fun using them because you just feel the acceleration of considering different angles and thoughts you might not have otherwise, right? And so on the left of this graphic, if you're following along visually and you're not listening to this recording on the podcast, you're going to see some of our top tools for building investor relationships and raising capital faster, like our investor pipeline builder tool that looks through 22,000 investor profiles, looks where you're based, what you're raising capital for, and helps you find the top 50 investors that you should build relationships with. I'm not going to read off each of these, but some of them are, analyzing your pitch deck in 25 different ways and assigning a score to it, optimizing your emails, simulating sitting down with a cup of coffee with 100 capital raisers who have raised $100 million each. It's pretty hard to have a dinner with more than 5 or 10 people and actually get feedback from all of them. This is a way to get feedback from 100 plus of those capital raisers within one tool. Deal Structure Ninja. This one helps you structure deals. We're going to show how to do that in just a couple minutes. And we have a one-liner pitch tool, helps you refine your whole pitch deck down to a single sentence. We're going to demonstrate that tool as well. On the right side, we have our investor, allocator, due diligence, and negotiation tools. These tools are basically helping when you are, let's say you're running a fund and you're acquiring assets. These tools will help you. Let's say you're building a company and you might bring on a joint venture partner or a capital partner, or you need to vet an investor to make sure that they're a real deal. You can use these tools. You might need to do forensic accounting and financial analysis on a company. If it's a meaningful amount of money, you should use our forensic accountant tool, but also use an accountant and also use attorneys, et cetera, of course. AI at this point is not replacing humans. It's making humans 33% faster, make less mistakes, and boost their IQ. Nobody really credible is saying, yeah, don't use humans at all. Just use AI for absolutely everything and things will go great. That's for sure not what you should do and not what we encourage. So this is just an overview slide of some of our top tools. On the left, capital raising tools. On the right, investor tools. And along the bottom are capital co-pilot tools, which we'll get to later. But those tools have many of these tools embedded into a single tool and thousands of investors for these different industries, such as medical healthcare, CPG manufacturing, energy, fund managers, technology companies, real estate, et cetera. So just want to give that little preview of what we're going to be showing you later. One question I have here is where does Grok fit into all this? Well, personally, I pay for GPT Pro, which is $200 a month. You can use all of our tools with the free GPT account, but it's going to work a lot better if you just pay the $20 a month, right? And so I would definitely pay the $20 a month. With Grok, I believe Grok 4 anyone can use for free, or you could pay for Grok Heavy. We're on like the $3,000 a year plan for Grok Heavy, so we can do deep research on GPT and Grok when needed and get great results. It's basically deciding in life, okay, well, I could have an upgraded brain by using AI or not use AI, or I could use two platforms and access both types of upgraded brain. But if you're running a business that does anything more than 300,000 to 500,000 a year in revenue, there's no reason not to pay for boosting your IQ more and having the 3,000 a year Grok and the GPT Pro at $200 a month and potentially considering Claude in the mix there as well. And so that's our view of it. Our tools are built off of custom GPTs and through OpenAI. As of right now, Grok doesn't offer an equivalent. But so the tools that you see here are GPT platform based. Okay, so here are one type of our tools, investor pipeline builders. These basically, like I explained before, take a huge data set of investors and narrow it down who's in your backyard. And I just wanted to show you that we have a version of this. If you don't want to look at all types of investors, you could look just at accredited investors. You could look just at family offices. You could look at other investor clubs like ours. We've identified 550 investor clubs. And if you use Investor Club Navigator, which is one of our tools, and you say, I'm in Denver and I'm raising capital for my healthcare company, it will tell you what investor clubs are right in your backyard and which investor clubs are focused on healthcare companies. So they could be a great option for you to consider because they look at your types of deals all day long. On the due diligence investing tools, we're going to highlight Instant Advisory Board later and also Dewey because Dewey has had over 1,000 due diligence reports produced on it so far, and it's been our most popular tool. And then on the capital raising tools, I would say that Investor Advantage and then Billionaire Collective Intelligence has been most popular. We've had about 650 uses of the Billionaire Collective Intelligence reports just through our members to date. So I'm going to now jump over and share my screen. Let's see here, and then we'll do the live demonstration of some of the tools. I do see a comment here from Josh. I've had terrible results in GPT doing tax research. It makes up law and sources all the time, so I stopped using it. Haven't had that happen with Grok. Yeah, that is basically the whole point of our webinar here today, Josh, is that unless the inputs are from a tax attorney that you trust, GPT and most AI tools are just scraping things all over the world to basically find, a answer to your question, and it may or may not find an answer that's up to date or that's accurate, etc. It sounds like Grok has done a little bit better job than GPT, but what we do is make it so within the sandbox, it's only considering the data sources we've uploaded to it. So there could still be mistakes. It could still go off and go down a rabbit hole and then try to access the OpenAI master brain and not strictly follow our document set, but it almost always does. In 95% of the cases, it's very much trained to do that, and it does a great job of doing that. So we get great results versus that. John, I think you'll see as we walk through some of the tools, it'll be very relevant to everything you're doing in Japan, except for Japanese contract law, Japanese, taxation, etc. We still do have the concierge AI tool, Bob, as well. So I'll try to touch on that later and bring that up later when we get to that section. Let me bring up now the actual demonstration of the tools, and then we will be able to show kind of in real time what we've built out for everybody to look at. All right. And if you have more questions, feel free to submit them, and I'll make sure and get to those again after showing one or two of these tools. So here's the first one. So this is Investor Pipeline Builder I shared just a minute ago. I'm starting with this one because it's one that we get a lot of interest in. And one thing to know up front is that our event membership now that gets you access to all of our events and our 30 core AI tools, which are all the AI tools that don't look for investors within our investor databases, essentially. That's all at $249 a month. It's just $249 a month up front and ongoing. And then our more premium data tools are available within the Investor Pipeline Builder membership. Or if you get a VIP membership, it's just event membership plus Investor Pipeline Builder. So you can come to all the events and get access to all the tools. So I'll show the chart later. It makes it more clear. When you go to familyoffices.com, you'll see those options. But I just want to show a dozen of our tools now, kind of in rapid fire. We're going to show examples of them. So let's say that you're here at Investor Pipeline Builder and you're trying to figure out what investors should you focus on going forward. Well, you might type into there here at the top, I'm raising capital for self-storage in Texas. Do you have the top 50 investors I should reach out to? I live in Austin. Then it pumps out these results. It shows you who the investors are. You can click download here and download this in Excel. It tells you what you've been provided. It also tells you some good notes for follow up with these, right? Like Lead with value, so you stand out in their inbox. It doesn't look just like a cold pitch, right? The first line matters quite a bit. Follow up with a voicemail. Lots of investors get 140 emails for every one voicemail. So definitely leave a voicemail. Be concise. Don't ask to connect or brainstorm without an agenda. This is the part I'm talking about where the structuring the output matters a lot, right? Like, first of all, you don't want it in text. You probably want it in Excel. Second, there needs to be reminders of how to use the data or you're just going to get bad results, right? It's not about blasting things out. It's about adding value and actually making progress. We also link to some of our other tools at the bottom of our tools. And so that shows how easy this is. It takes about 30 seconds for that to be processed. Our next tool here is called Coffee with Richard C. Wilson. And so the point of creating this tool is that if you combine all the books that I've written and the workshops I've provided, if we transcribe those, we could put that all into one fat book, and it would be a 3,900 page book. And I basically introduced this tool by saying, who wants to read my 3,900 page book? Zero people want to read that book, right? It's just not enough time, even on Audible, for people to get through that. But instead, whatever question right now, you can ask it to this tool, and then it will look through the 3,900 pages and give you the answer. And so you can use this tool in different ways and expertise in different ways without having to read the book, right? And so in the bottom here of the screen, you can probably follow along with me here and see it says, what are the top 10 lessons you've learned on deal making while running the family office club? So let's hit enter on that. See the results that come out here. And by the way, like every now and then when we do this, it won't be perfect and it will basically get stuck if you don't have a premium GPT account. And then you just have to say, no, I asked for this, please provide that. But 19 out of 20 times it comes out with great helpful answers. So here you can see the top 10 lessons on deal making. Acquire choke points, basically. Speed of implementation wins. Create your own deals. Get a custom structure for the deal that turns a no into a yes, etc. So that's the type of advice that you can get. And it's like you're sitting down with a cup of coffee with me, asking questions about your exact situation. So pretty simple tool. We'll move on to the next one here, and then I will wait to see what questions there are. Okay, this one is Investor Email Optimizer.
Richard, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
You might want to. The screen is pretty small. If you want to hit Control.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Does that help? Cool. Awesome. Thanks for mentioning that, John. I'll keep an eye. I'll look at the chats and see what other questions have come in too after this one. So on this one, what it does is take an email that many times is too long when sending it to investors, and it tightens it up for you. So I took an email that I sent, which helped me close a deal, and it's a long email, and it mentions a lot of different things about the pitch. And many of us want to keep everything in our same tone. So it sounds like it's coming from us, but just make it more concise, right? And that's what this tool is for. And this is based on investor feedback from on stage, on investor talks that have been transcribed, and on about 20 criteria of what gets emails opened and read and clicked on most often. And it's all bundled into one tool for founders, capital raisers, and investors. So it just makes it easier when you're about to send an email to someone to maybe put it in here. It'll catch grammar mistakes, but also help optimize your communications to be more concise. So here it scored my email as 72 out of 100. Not excellent. It talks about what was good about the email. I didn't include the subject line. It's great if you do, because it'll help optimize that as well. The one-liner emphasizes you don't really have a one-liner in here. You should probably start out the email with your one-liner on this deal and make sure you have a one-liner. The length of it was way too long. It's like an essay, right? It talks about clarity, calls to action, signature, and then it rewrites the email for you to say, do you like this rewrite? If you don't, you can just rewrite it yourself with the advice it gave you, of course, and then put the next version in here, get it graded, the next version, etc. It adds reminders of things that we know work when raising capital, and it suggests other tools of ours that you probably should be using. So I hope that's helpful and just like a really clear example of how you can use these tools on a daily basis, because you're probably sending emails to people on a daily basis. And how many of us are so busy that remembering call to action and that a subject line should be 100 to 125 characters long, and making sure it's clear, making sure you have a one-liner, making sure you follow up with a voicemail, making sure that is very clear what you're asking them to do. Like, how many of us can think of all those different angles and are trained to do that in real time while moving quickly, right? Very few of us. But having this as a routine to use, that one thing you remember allows you to get 20 things in place, right? That's how it makes you faster, make less mistakes, and boost your IQ. This is a perfect example of that in real time that we can all use. Let me check over real quick on any chats that have come in. The only problem with not reading the books is we often don't know what questions to ask. Yeah, great point, Bob. I mean, I'm a big proponent of reading books. I'm more than halfway through trying to read every book a billionaire's ever written, which is about 250 books now that have been written. I'm about 130 books into that, or 125 books into that. I have to look at my list. So I'm a big proponent of reading books. But the thing I love about AI that I think Daphne and my team, made a really great point of is that in at our workshops we teach certain concepts like choke points that we know are massively powerful to understand and use. And now you can teach someone a choke point, and tell them what the concept is, but then give them a tool and it will look at their situation and suggest custom choke points just for them to think through. And it's almost like a done for you thinking tool to see real world case studies applied to your exact business versus me teaching a concept and saying, let me give you an example if you're in the dry cleaning business. Let me give you an example if you're running a hedge fund. And then I have to try to give some random examples that represent what a lot of people in the room might be working with on their platform or business. But now the tool allows you to apply it to your exact situation in real time. And I think that's what's super powerful. But if you find what is equivalent to like gold in your industry of a titan you should follow, somebody you want to emulate, you should read every word they've ever published, and you should go deep and learn directly from those who are right down the path you're trying to get to and kind of the titans of your industry, et cetera, for sure. Definitely agree with that. Yeah, Amber, thanks for checking out our YouTube videos. We have 1,300 videos on our YouTube channel, and definitely appreciate you checking those out, especially the mini series on our YouTube channels. Harold, on the 3 billionaire books that I like best, if you go to billionaires.com/books, that's my top 10 billionaire books. So I'd encourage you to check those out. We don't have a partner channel program, but we are talking to one investor club platform about licensing our tools to all of their members, and we have a structure for that if anyone's interested. All right. Last question here. For Pipeline Builder, are these investors only allocating capital to US investors? No, we have a global investor profiles. We hold most of our events in the United States. We've done some in Singapore and London and Toronto. So it is US slanted pretty heavily, but it's not only the United States. If you wanted to raise capital from investors in the United States who do invest globally, we definitely have those. And we have some international investors in our data set as well. So I hope that helps. That's all the new questions I saw in there. So I'll move on to the next tool here. All right, this is one of our original tools. When we only had one or two tools, this was one of the first two, along with Dewey. And when we did our webinar in April, I think we only had 10 tools. So we're up to 40 plus now, and we've learned a ton while putting these together. Billionaire Collective Intelligence is super interesting. It's the first time in the history of mankind that you can say, who are the most successful people that have ever put out a public talk or a video providing insights and expertise? And then what advice would they give me right now? So we have found 985 public talks from billionaires. I transcribed those, and then you can ask questions and get feedback from the collective intelligence of the 400 and some billionaires that gave these 985 public talks, plus the 46 billionaires I've interviewed on stage at my events and on Zoom, et cetera. And so there's about 13 million characters of data within this data set. And it's like sitting down at a dinner with hundreds of billionaires and having the 20 who could help you the most with the transcribed insights they've shared with the world on your exact situation. And you can use this many times a day, all day long if you want to, right? So to me, that's just amazing, right? That's never been available to anyone else. There is no other tool like this. And I should mention, every one of our tools I built myself. We did not outsource it. These are not white labeled. They're not licensed from anyone else. They're exclusive. They're proprietary. And the reason I say that is that We love getting feedback from our users. If you're one of our members and you see something that's not great or could be better, or you see some other tool that's out in the market that we should create too, definitely let me know. That's how we make the tools better all of the time. You can hit the share button at the top of the screen and share the exact link of the conversation that you think went a little sideways or wasn't amazing, and let us know. And it's important for you guys to know that we're spending a lot of time on this because it's been so effective. So let me run this right here. I'm basically saying, I'm looking into the robotics area. I want to focus on it, but I don't want to split my energy too much. Should I focus on one area of robotics or identify 3 to 5 areas? What level of focus should I apply if I want to go into the area of robotics with my investments, et cetera? So I'm entering that in there. You can see in real time how long it takes for it to process. Obviously, sometimes it'll take a few seconds longer than other times, but it's already pumping out the results right now. So you can see here, it's creating a little bit of a matrix, and it's basically saying, here are some key insights from Peter Thiel and Bezos, for example. Here are some smart questions when entering a new section. And then it's basically giving some questions to ask, etc. When you also are asking it for a greater breadth of feedback, you can say, well, give me, for example, this is what I would naturally do. So I'll show you in real time. Give me 20 insights from billionaires on this idea and area of focus versus diversifying when entering a new niche. And this is how I use the tools. And I show you several examples of how we use the tools kind of in real time. And here we go. So here is a bunch of insights from billionaires with the actual name of the billionaire on it. So you know that it hasn't just created a random idea and says, yeah, we assure you this is from a billionaire. It's actually quoting the actual source. And if you're familiar with them and their work, you may listen and lean in on what Howard Marks says, or what Warren Buffett says, or what Mark Anderson says, right? Because Mark Anderson's from the Silicon Valley world, right? So what he says about robotics and focus versus not may be more important than what Bloomberg says, or what someone else says, such as Oprah Winfrey. You might love, and want to listen more to her advice, etc. So that's how you can use this tool. If there's any questions on that, please enter it in. But you can use this for all types of challenges, opportunities. When I've been in business owner clubs before, you get into little forums and you present your number one challenge or opportunity, and then you get feedback and there's experience sharing from the other business owners. Well, now you can hit record on an audio message with any of these tools we show you today. You can upload PDFs, you can upload Word documents, you can upload transcripts, you can record audio, you can copy paste emails in there, and you can just share the context of what's going on. The more context, the better with getting amazing answers back. And then you can just share as you're driving to the gym, hit record on the audio before you get in the car, and then just share what's going on, hit enter, and then you'll get feedback from the collective intelligence of billionaires immediately. And to me, that's just kind of a magical thing, and it's why we're spending so much time on this. So this is another example of a tool, our investor one-line pitch. This is critical. If you're raising capital and you spend all the time to put a pitch deck together, you have to have a one-liner. And no matter what you're raising capital for, you need a one-liner. But it's so silly to me that so many people raise capital. They do not have a 1-minute pitch video from the founder. They do not have a one-liner. Usually their logo means nothing, and it's Greek God Capital or Wilson Capital or ABC Capital. No one has any clue what you do. They don't have a one-liner, so you open their pitch deck, and it's like Greek God Capital, copyright confidential, etc., and you have no idea what the firm does. And so this costs nothing. You don't need a graphic design firm to create your one-liner. Even if you don't join our membership and get our access to our suite of tools, at least create a one-liner. Every investor wants you to have one. This tool is based off of our discussion panels where people rated one-liners, investors rated one-liners on stage at our investor summits in front of ballrooms full of 400 to 1,000 people. And it's based on our full-day workshops on raising capital, and my books on raising capital, and my book on pitch decks, and our webinars on how to put together a one-liner, and 25 criteria on what makes a great one-liner. Goes all into this tool. So you can upload a pitch deck and it'll create 7 one-liners for you almost instantly that allow you to pitch your investment in a way that's unique, concise, and uses some credible numbers. And so While doing that, it's important that you pick one that is true, doesn't exaggerate things, creates curiosity and interest, but is not inflated or off in some way. And so, what I often do is say, "Oh, okay, look at this. They created 7 one-liners. Um, I loved 4 and 7. Create 7 more like that." And then it'll create seven more one-liners. Like, put this thing to task, right? It's not going to complain. You can ask it over and over and over again to refine things, and there will be no complaints from it, right? So here are 7 more one-liners. Now you can say, I like I like 3, but use more hard numbers and give me 7 more options that sound like number 3. And then that's how I dial things in when I use AI. I use on a macro level, gets me results. I then turn it over a few times. Then I dial it in one area that I think is going to be most excellent based on my gut experience and feedback and what's worked in the past. Um, I'll check over and see if there's any questions now. Does that make sense to everybody of like why you would use this, how important it is? The more valuable the investor, the more concise you need to be. The more competitive your niche and the harder it's been to raise capital, the more clear you need to be. You have to offer things that are different, compelling, high conviction, trusted, have credible numbers in them. Otherwise, if you just say we're best in class multifamily real estate, and we raised rents on properties that needed a little bit of improvements or upgrades, et cetera. Like anybody can wake up in their mother-in-law's basement tomorrow and say the same thing. It means nothing. But if you say for 12 years we've bought and sold 9 multifamily properties and 110 investors have trusted us with their capital, that's totally different. Unless someone's a total fraud, they can't wake up and say that tomorrow. They haven't done what you've done, right? So the one-liner, absolutely critical. Was there a link shared to this before I joined? If you're on the webinar, you're on the right link. At our in-person events next week, Richard, you're going to be provided with links to the tools so you can use them in real time. On this webinar, we're not doing that because the tools are only available for use to members of the Family Office Club. So you need to go to familyoffices.com and go to join at the top. And we have 6 options to join. One of them is $249 a month, and then you'll get access right away to our suite of our 30 core AI tools. If you choose Investor Pipeline Builder or VIP, you'll get access to all 40 plus of the tools and all of our events per year, et cetera. But we'll go over that at the end of the webinar. Let's see here. We have a long question here about the chatbots and ChatGPT. Yeah, a lot of the tools out there, AI tools, do not work very well because of the messy data on the back end. And then if you don't write a very long, detailed prompt, it's not going to get you what you want. So behind all these tools, we have 1.5 page long prompts structuring the data, the steps, the grading, the context, the output, the next steps, the other suggested tools. So it's not just the superior data, it's all the structured process flow that we've had to learn the hard way the last 18 years that makes these produce better results than you typically would get. I have a comment here from Mike. Acting as the expert that you are, read the answer that you just gave me and evaluate it. Use a scale 1 to 100. Go back and do what you need to make it 100. Yeah, those are the types of prompt reviews to make things better and better as we go that we try to use as well. All right, so here's Investor Advantage. This tool allows you to take well over 1,000 talks that have been on stage at our 300 live events to date, and then it allows you to look into that knowledge base off of everything they've said, the collective intelligence, everything that they've said at our events, and get feedback on whatever it is you're doing. So we can take that same question we put into the Billionaire tool about on the robotics niche. It could be on any challenge, any opportunity, any pitch you're about to do, feedback on anything you're about to present to investors. And you can submit it to this tool, and in real time, it'll give you feedback and tell you what investors would say collectively if you sat down and actually surveyed hundreds and hundreds of these investors based on what they said publicly. And so we use this tool when it comes to strategy, focus, branding, naming things. And we often have a few of our tools open so that we can use a few of them and get different perspectives, right? If you just use GPT and you ask one of these questions in it, you're going to get different results than if you use one of our dialed in AI tools here, just like you'll get different results if you go to Grok or Claude, et cetera. And the difference is you could sit down and get feedback from generic advice in the general population, or you can get feedback from billionaires, right? So that's really the point of doing this. So here you can see some of the feedback that came out on where to focus, what not to focus on, examples of areas to focus on, one or two things to be successful and keep in mind, and then again, suggestions of more tools. If you're really trying to solve something mentally and be decisive and move quickly, but be very careful with considering all the different angles to consider, I often consult with a few trusted people that are on my team or other business owners, advisors, family offices, people that are further down that path that I know in real life, but then also consult with a number of these tools at once just to consider all of the data points. And I'm often asking within these tools, base your answer on what has been proven to work. What is most often? What's the most common advice? What's the most common mistake? If I sat down with 100 of these people for a cup of coffee, what would they all tell me I should probably be doing based on the challenge that I'm describing here? And then that way you're benefiting from all these transcripts and all the insight and expertise that's come across at our events. Um, Here, I'm saying a challenge to the same tool. I meet with investors, they seem interested, but they don't seem to close. I feel like maybe I'm not getting straight feedback on why they're not investing. Investors right now seem a little bit harder to close in general. Can you look at my deal structure? Look at this from an investor's perspective. The deck is attached. Give me consulting advice from an investor's perspective on what is off, what's missing, what should I focus on in meetings, how do I close more investors, right? And we're basically asking this to the 1,000+ investors who've spoken on stage at our events. And so here, based on the pitch deck uploaded, it's saying, here's what's likely off or missing. Here are some areas to focus on when you meet with people. Here is how you can improve your closing rate based on the content you uploaded. This is a perfect example of the more context you give it, the better. And then if you see something interesting here, like, oh, deal term competitiveness, and under here, upside and downside in one breath, then you could say, well, I'm really interested in section 2, bullet point 3, and section 1, bullet point 4. Can you expand on that? What did you mean by that? And then it would make it bigger, and then you go down the rabbit hole of going deeper and deeper on a few of those areas that you think you could act on right now. So that's again another example of how we use these tools internally all the time. All right, this is our number one most popular tool. It's called Dewey, the Instant Due Diligence Advisor. This is trained on over 150 different resources, from full day workshops on due diligence to white papers and checklists, from institutional due diligence to angel investing due diligence, venture capital, real estate, etc. So that when you are looking at a transaction or a deal, it will help you identify the risks. It'll help you identify things which could make the deal go sideways or haven't been said or are missing. And the reason why this is so critical is that many times in the investment world, investors are asked to read 150-page PPM. And even if you're an attorney and you read every single word and your eyes don't glaze over, there could be an area or two that conflict or don't make sense. How many investors read every word of a PPM? How many people realize, oh, wait a minute, this pitch deck didn't include X, Y, or Z. I should ask about that first. And if they can't provide that, then I shouldn't waste my time getting on a Zoom or a meeting, right? So that is the point of Dewey, is to really dig into due diligence best practices. You can use this to prepare for due diligence. You could use this so that when you are meeting with an investor or looking to meet with one, you could say, what questions are they likely to ask me? What may be a red flag that an investor sees when they open up my pitch deck or one pager? What could be a negative first impression? And then you could make your position and your investment stronger or change the structure of your deal. You also could use prompt number 4. If you don't know what a master due diligence questionnaire is, you should have one in place if you're raising capital. All it is a list of 30 questions that a sophisticated investor should be asking, but maybe they didn't make their money in dry cleaning or self-storage or senior living or manufacturing or running a hedge fund. So they don't even know what questions to ask. So what you do is collect all the best questions that your best investors have ever asked you, questions that you would ask someone if you were investing in your niche, and you put those into your master due diligence questionnaire. Well, it takes quite a while to think of those 30 questions. The first 5 or 10 come easy, and then usually people struggle to get to 30, and then you have to write out the answers to them. Instead, what you can do is upload your pitch deck in PPM to Dewey, and then hit Master Due Diligence Questionnaire, and it will create the 30 questions and the 30 answers for your Master Due Diligence Questionnaire. So it's very easy to do. It takes just a minute to do. So since we're going decently fast, I'm actually just going to attach it here, a couple of files for it to look at and say, please create a 30 question DDQ, have the questions be sophisticated and write out medium length answers to each question. Don't provide one-line answers to questions that feel weak or too concise. Okay, so the point of doing this is that I want you to see how easy and quick this is. And then when the results come out, if the answers are too long or too short, you can ask it to revise them. But to be able to instantly come up with 30 sophisticated questions every investor should ask and have the answers provided as well, to me is amazing. And then you can always be revising it. You should have a careful review of every question, every answer. I don't know why this PPM is not uploading, so let me re-upload it because it seemed to got stalled out there for a second. You should review it all to make sure that none of the answers are inflated, none of the answers are exaggerating, all of the answers are factual. Probably have your attorney review it before using it with an investor. Make sure there's nothing in there that could, potentially get you in trouble. But the point is, most people raising capital do not have a one-liner. Most people raising capital do not have a 1-minute pitch video from the founder. Most people raising capital don't have a one-pager. They just have a pitch deck or a Word document that's really long-winded. So let me see what it created here. Yeah, so here are the 30 questions, and here are the 30 answers. And you can see how quick it did that, right? It's like, yeah, I had to re-upload the PPM, and that took me all of like 45 seconds to wait and redo. But now all of this is coming out. The answers look moderate length. It could be like maybe a little bit more meaty on some of these, but I would then copy paste this into Word, review it, have my team review it, attorneys review it, and now you have a due diligence questionnaire, and you didn't 45 seconds ago. You see how powerful that is and so fast to have. What we're doing is saying, hey, over about 2 decades, we have learned quite a lot while hosting 300 events and closing deals with billionaires and angel investors and everything in between with family offices. And so we're codifying those lessons, those best practices into tools like this. So now we're not just saying like, yeah, go figure out how to create a master due diligence questionnaire. Good luck. I know you have lots of free time on your hands as a founder. Instead, we're saying you should for sure have a master due diligence questionnaire. And by the way, we can get you 70% of the way there in about 45 seconds by just uploading these materials to this tool called Dewey, and it's going to pump it out for you. So to me, that's super exciting because it makes it easier for our members to do what we know works and what every investor wants them to do, but almost nobody does. And it doesn't really make sense, right? A lot of these things do not cost a lot of money to do. They take knowledge, intention, focus, and execution. But a lot of people just don't even know they're needed, don't know how to put them together, and they spend more money on their plane ticket to go to a conference or live event than it would take to create almost everything we just talked about here with our membership. You could knock all of this stuff out for less than the price that it costs to go to one competing other conference event that's out there, right? That's the whole point. This is going to make you massively more effective. Here's another example. Please help me conduct due diligence and prepare for due diligence on this investment opportunity, analyze the deal, top risks, red flags, missing critical details, make or break points, and write 7 questions that would be most helpful in understanding and identifying the red flags in the deal in general. Review the PPM, the pitch deck, the attached materials, and think through the answers to that. So basically, what I'm asking for it to do here is help me prepare for due diligence on an investment opportunity. This could be for, again, a fund manager. This could be for someone who's looking at something from an investor's perspective. But you can upload audio context to this. You can copy paste emails in. You could put 1,000,000 characters of data into a TXT file and add it in here if you wanted to, right? You can add a zip file in here. You could add a Dropbox link in here, et cetera. So you can see, look how fast it was. Like 30 seconds later, Now it's telling you how the deal is structured, the investment summary, the key offering details, the risk rating detail, moderate to high risk, the visual risk of the level of risk. It does a first principles breakdown on like what could be a make or break for the whole platform, what drives costs, a falsibility test. Could this easily be proven false? And maybe it's not real or not. It shows execution risk, technical risk, financial risk. It's also looking at how likely is the deal likely to go to zero, and also how much of it is signal versus noise on it just being overly like marketing. Is there real meat to this, or is it a lot of marketing, positioning, and there's nothing real, tangible behind it? So it's a pretty detailed first pass, and then it gives you 7 due diligence questions. So instead of getting on a Zoom or going to a long meeting, I would just copy paste these 7 into a email to the person pitching you the deal and ask those 7 questions, see what they say, and then maybe spend your valuable personal time. Because in 45 seconds here, you can identify top risks, get a lay of the land, who the group is. And if this comes out horrible, I would not even send the 7 questions. I would just move on and save your time copy pasting something into email. Way too many people get on to meetings and Zooms and they haven't even looked at the materials yet because they're busy. They don't know what questions to ask up front. And they find themselves in a pitch where if they knew what was being pitched, they would never in a million years have gotten on that phone call, right? We've all been there before. And so this is what it helps it avoid. And again, you can do this with partners, you can do this on investments, you can do it on yourself to know what others might be seeing or thinking as they're looking at a deal. And it's massively helpful. We've gotten amazing feedback from billionaires, centimillionaires, family offices, angel investors, and no one else is providing them with something like this. And you can even have like a dog fight or a UFC cage match and put 12 pitch decks up here and have this analysis done on all 12 at once and have it create a table and have it rank the deals based on your personal criteria and your values, identify the top 3 to 5, then take the cage match to the next level and say, out of those 3 to 5, which have the best asymmetrical risk return profile, which one match my family values and personal values most, which are local to me or places I travel to, which are Denver, Seattle, and Toronto, or whatever it may be in your case. And you can quickly narrow down 12 opportunities to 2 or 3, and then have it produce 7 questions for all 2 or 3 of those opportunities. So I hope that makes sense. And let me check for questions here real quick. Yeah, comparing results within different AI tools, super helpful because you always get slightly different results. So I definitely agree with that, Bob. All right, I hope that makes sense on Dewey. I want to keep on moving. This tool is a pitch deck success score tool. So basically, as you can guess, you upload your pitch deck and it's going to tell you what's good, what's bad. And again, as you can guess, it's based on investor transcripts, full day workshops on raising capital, my book on raising capital, my book on pitch decks, as well as the one-liner panels and positioning panels and investor feedback panels at our live events. And so you're getting a lot of expertise built into the ratings that are here because we also spent the time to write out 25 criteria for pitch decks and what they should have. So you can see here, we uploaded a pitch deck. We said, please analyze the deck. It asks if we have a one pager or a website. Just for the example, I put no and no. It says, here's your score, branding. Okay, cool. It's clear. It's not some Greek god name or ABC Capital. That's great. One liner. Okay, don't have much of a one liner. Team details. Great. Unique, compelling. Great. Founder video. Nope. No one pager, no website, track record, good, etc. So you can see the point. It goes through all these different ways to score your pitch deck, prioritizes the improvements. So you can start with what's going to move the needle most. And then you can dial in here and you can record an audio message and say, look, I'm trying to raise capital in 6 weeks. I need to move very quickly. Only suggest improvements that I could literally make today. They're going to help me at my meeting tomorrow. Or only suggest improvements that I don't need a graphic designer for, I don't need a video editor for, and help me understand what you meant on bullet point number 4. And also, what do you think about page 6 of the PowerPoint? And then you can dial in and spend an hour in the conversation with this one tool if you wanted to. Think about it as your pitch deck consultant on tap. If you wanted feedback and advisory and consulting on anything related to your pitch, not just your pitch deck, but anything related to your pitch, then you can use this tool as your super nerd on pitches to investors or getting a deal done, right? And you can access this mini brain sandbox essentially to get smarter on any part of your pitch. And that's what the scoring tool does. Deal Structure Ninja is a tool that's been used over 100 times by our internal members. This tool, while not used as often as Billionaire Collective Intelligence or Dewey, can be completely life-changing for many people that are on this webinar right now. The way that you structure a deal can change everything. I've had so many times people told me, this deal is not going to get done. You're wasting your time. We've already told you no 10 times. Go away. We're not going to do a deal with you. I change the structure and they say, okay, we'll do that deal if you can close in 2 weeks, and we get the deal done. Over and over again, we've been able to do that where they say, oh, we think it's worth $3 million. We structure the deal differently and we buy that exact same asset with one little carve out on it for $400,000 and change. And before they were like, nope, it's $3 million. Sorry, go away. And we're like, well, why is that? Oh, because of this. Okay, well, let's structure around that and we'll get it done. So imagine there's an attorney that you can text message 24/7, and that attorney has memorized 1,000 deal structures, over 2 million data points to consider, and you could text them night or day, and they're going to suggest 10 different deal structures related to your current situation. And you can say, what do you prefer in the deal negotiation? Are you trying to save equity? Are you trying to maximize evaluation, et cetera? What does the counterparty prefer? What could blow up the deal? What are you most focused on? And then submit that to this tool, and it'll provide you with 10 options for structuring the deal. So I've done one here where I'm saying I'm looking to purchase a plumbing company in Hawaii. I've been negotiating with this company. It does 1.9 million a year in revenue. The owner does not want to stay on for more than a year. They're ready to retire, and I'm concerned about this, that, and the other thing. So if we hit submit on this within Deal Structure Ninja, it's like a super nerd on deal structures. So it is, if you talk to an attorney and you say, can you suggest 10 different deal structures that are all custom designed for my exact situation? You'll be lucky to get an attorney to send you 3 or 4 ideas. And the cool thing is that right now you can see here, it gave us 10 different options, right? I'm not going to read off each one of you and each one of them, but then you can say, you know, I really liked number 2 and 5, but also I want to consider options using gross revenue royalty uh, deal terms as well. Create 10 more like those, 2, 5, and with royalties. And then you can have it work for you and produce another 10 results. And you can do that over and over and over, then think about it, bounce it off some people, etc. And so here you can see it has some gross revenue royalty related options and options related to number 2 and 5, right? And so that is how you can really dial things in. And then look what it's asking me at the bottom. Would you like to turn one of these into basically an email or an LOI so you can present it to the counterparty and your attorney? Because if you don't present it right, they're going to say, well, what's that deal structure? I've never seen a deal structure with gross revenue royalties. You can say, well, it's actually the best structure possible because you're getting paid out over time off of the gross revenue, not off of whether we keep the business profitable or not. It's our fault if we drive it into the ground and we still do 3 million in revenue, but we spend 2 million a year in advertising, and I'm doing a pretty bad job managing the advertising. So part of it is pitching the deal structure in a way that people will actually say yes to it. But then it also reminds you, like, hey, we have Investor Advantage. Do you want to use that tool? We have our letter of intent optimizer GPT, which we don't have time to go over here today, but we will next week at the workshops. Do you want to use that tool? We also have our forensic accountant tool and many other tools. So the tools help remind you of other tools you might want to use. It's structured to help think for you and go super deep. And Deal Structure Ninja is one of my favorite tools because if this tool helps you sell your company for more money or keep more equity, or helps you keep a 2% gross revenue royalty the rest of your life versus just selling your dental practice and you get nothing after the payout, or it helps you buy an asset you wouldn't have been able to buy otherwise, or buy an asset at much more aligned structure, it could help you avoid a lawsuit. It could help you avoid losing all your money in a deal because as an investor, you didn't request or require collateral to back your investment, right? This could literally change your life on getting deals done that otherwise people told you to go away on. And I've seen that happen so many times to me that I really want to make sure that that's super clear when people look at this tool, because you can use Investor Email Analyzer every single day, but you need to know that there's tools like this that exist because 4 times a year or 14 times a year, this could be 100 times the value that what you pay for our membership just by using this once a year. It could be 100 times return on your membership, right? Just this one tool out of the 40 plus. I'll stop after the next tool for questions in case there are any that have come up. But this tool is for checking out partners. This could be someone you're going to invest with, do a joint venture with, trust to manage your real estate. It could be somebody that you're looking to hire to your team, etc. It's called Instant Partner Insights. And what it does is basically take, if you spent, I don't know, 5 to 15 minutes searching all around Google with somebody's name and the word fraud, FINRA, fined, Ponzi scheme, SEC, convicted, banned, etc., and just looked at like what their reputation is or if there's any really bad stuff out there online related to somebody. It just takes time, and as long as you have their permission, you can do that using this tool. And in real time, you can say like, well, who's this Richard Wilson person who runs Family Office Club? Let me check his credibility and background a bit before I meet with him. And then it will make you say, yes, I have permission, etc. So you're following privacy laws around like, you know, looking at someone's profile online needs their permission in many states or many countries. So as long as you have that consent, then it gives you a one-liner in who they are, looks at their credibility, their likelihood of being wealthy, immediate things to watch out for, where they're based, stuff on their bios, the companies they run, their online social media presence, their reviews, any red flags, wealth business indicators, their personality preferences related to DISC and MBTI and Clifton Strengths Finder, things to verify before the next meeting, and the bottom line of the results that are found. So the point of this is that how long would it take you to find all this stuff? Like, I don't know, at least 5 to 15 minutes, right? And it probably wouldn't be organized. You have to like take little notes yourself or copy paste over Google search results. It'd be very lengthy and time consuming. So ask for permission and then do this before meeting with people, partnering with them, etc. Dodging bullets of not partnering with the wrong person. I mean, that can be business ending. That could be the result. That could be you getting a lawsuit that puts you out of business, or you getting fined or banned by a regulatory organization or not based on partnering with the right person, right? It's almost no more important decision. And dodging bullets of not finding out in meeting number 4 that something is really bad about somebody could save you hundreds of hours or at least dozens of hours of time. And again, it's like a 10x return on your membership if all you do is use this one tool. And I can tell you, not many people use this tool compared to our other tools, right? But if all you did was use this one tool, you're going to be happy with the membership because you're just going to save a lot of time if you're a business owner. All right. Let me stop 1 second for questions here and see how many have come up. Mark says this is amazing. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad one person is enjoying the webinar at least. Do you have an underwriting agent for multifamily properties? Yes, we do. It's called Real Estate Capital Copilot. We'll talk about the co-pilots in a few minutes here. Does getting permission turn instant partner insights require written permission or just verbal? Written permission in some states or countries is required, so it's better just get it in writing over email or Slack at least or something, or ask your attorney, I guess, right? All of life comes down to how risky you want to be and talking to your attorney or doctor before you do anything. So that's something that you should keep in mind. Is the deal structure ninja focused on US deals or does it include global structures? All of the AI tools have been guided so that it is 70% weighted towards US and 30% global. That's about the balance of participants we have. So currently that's what we have. I see Andrew's going to be in Beverly Hills either for our AI laptops out tutorial event next week or maybe at our investor summit coming up in September. So that's awesome. Appreciate that comment. Is every tool we've seen today come with the $249 a month option? The only ones that don't are the ones driven by investor databases like Investor Pipeline Builder, ones like the Copilot we're about to go into. They're backed by our in-depth investor profiles on 22,000 investors. So that those would require the Investor Pipeline Builder level or the VIP level of membership. But we'll get to that in a couple minutes. But yeah, great question. And yeah, and on other questions you have, as you get into the platform, the whole point of next week is to give an in-person tutorial. So you're super comfortable. And when you leave the event next week, if you're there with us, you will leave knowing a lot more about artificial intelligence, how we program these tools, why you'd want to use them, and just how to use AI in general. Even if you never used our tools ever again, which I hope isn't the case, but even if you didn't, you would understand AI on a deeper level. and you'll know how to use it for your business because we're going to break into small groups and apply all these tools to your businesses, share the results with each other, and then the most interesting result will be shared with the whole room. And we'll all get great, interesting feedback and results that will make us all smarter on AI, including myself, right? So, this next tool I want to share, and then we'll get back to some questions here. The next tool I want to share here is the Tech Capital Copilot. So, there is basically a oh, I see that some more questions popped up here, so I'll get those in one second. So basically, what we've done is taken our multiple series of tools, right? Like there's Dewey, Deal Structure Ninja, Investor Advantage, but then we also did deep research on technology IP law and technology contract law. We also looked at our 22,000 investor profiles and looked at what 3 to 5,000 investors are most likely to invest in technology companies or real estate or energy or CPG manufacturing. And we've split it into 6 or 7 different capital co-pilots dialed into a specific industry or type of company like medical, healthcare, energy, etc. One of them is technology capital co-pilot. And it basically helps anybody growing a technology company or raising capital for one or looking to make acquisitions, helps you navigate contract law, negotiations of deals, negotiating fees, but also finding joint venture partners, helping you with sourcing deals, helping you with raising capitals by tapping into niche investor databases in the area. So I'm not going to give an example of every co-pilot. We're going to go over this in more depth next week, but here's just an example of one of our 7 co-pilots being used, saying, I'm raising capital for an AI startup company based in Texas. What are the top 50 investors I should approach based on your technology investor database spreadsheet? It says, well, based on your location, here are some of the top investors that you should approach. And then it gives you the file in Excel. You click on that and it downloads the Excel spreadsheet. It gives you these parts of the contact details. And then it reminds you of some of the other tools we've talked about today. So the point of showing you this is that having it so that you don't just get given, yeah, here's a spreadsheet. Good luck. I hope that they respond to your emails. Instead, use the investor email optimizer. First, create your one-liner. Before attaching a pitch deck, rate your pitch deck and improve your pitch deck. Maybe before you send over the pitch deck, is your deal structured properly in the right way? Is it structured in a way that's going to hit someone between the eyes and make them lean forward and make it more compelling, right? We have 40 plus examples of those other tools that all work with each other. And you can have a name of a platform that means something, ABC Capital, or some Greek god or Wilson Capital name. You can not have a one-liner. You can not even have a pitch deck. You could just pitch somebody via email and raise a couple $100,000 or sometimes even millions of dollars, right? More power to you if you can pull that off. But these are all things we know work. And instead of 19 miles per hour, you can go 22 miles per hour. Or instead of a 9% chance of closing an investor at each meeting, we can give you a 29% chance. These are all things that it's in our best interest to deliver as much genuine, authentic value as possible, because then you're going to want to be a member for years and years to come and say great things about us and be part of our community, et cetera. So the more that you win because of our tools and insights, the more that we win as a company. And I encourage you to look at a lot of the content and work our company has put out because we try to have that be a consistent theme across the basis. I got some questions here from Atune. Do you use Manus? We do not use Manus right now. Another question here. What's the best tool that will help you find LPs that will invest in SPVs? I think our investor pipeline builder is a great one to start, but it's really our investor pipeline builder tools like Investor Club Navigator, Family Office Finder. But it's important to know that meeting in person, you're 16 times as likely to close an investor. That's why we host in-person events. I live in the middle of the ocean. It's literally the most remote inhabited island chain in the world in Hawaii. So trust me, if we didn't need to host in-person events, I wouldn't be flying across the ocean to host events all the time. But they're fun and they're energetic and they're exciting because we're featuring centimillionaires, decamillionaires, billionaires on stage, billion-dollar plus family offices. But would my family like it if I didn't have to get on airplanes every 5 weeks? Yeah, they would for sure. But the reality is things get done in person. Trust goes way up when you meet in person. And for almost all investors, the context of how well you know the person, how much you trust them, how you understand they add value, who they are, matters more than what they're selling. It matters more than what they promise on their piece of paper. Anybody can say they give a 3,000% return and the IRR is off the charts. It's the best deal you've ever seen. And the more hyped up it is, the more that sophisticated investors just turn away instantly and delete and hit the spam button, right? The more that it's trusted, value add first, and there's context around it, and have met in person, or they understand what you're doing very clearly, then they're more likely to meet in person and hear the pitch. So that's important to know when you hear about like, okay, we have live events and we have AI tools. Maybe I should just do live events or maybe just AI tools. Well, no matter where you are in the world, the AI tools will make you faster, smarter, make less mistakes, and they're super dialed in to founders, investors, fund managers, and capital raisers. But the live events is a place where you can try out your one-liner, hear directly from, the investors on stage. At one of our summits, we'll have 75 to 125 speakers on stage over 2 to 3 days. And there's no better way to learn than in person. It's way more engaging. You can network, you can meet investors, you can meet a partner to help you raise capital, you could source a deal. You get smarter on our AI tools at our events next week, for example. And so when you come to our events, just know that we have 4 big investor summits a year. And then we have a couple of dozen mastermind-like events called our Investor Access Series. And there you can network with investors, but also we break into small groups, learn how to prepare for raising capital better, or use artificial intelligence better, or how to structure deals and conduct due diligence, et cetera. So that's important to know about the platform as well. I'll get back to the questions in a minute. I want to make sure we don't not make it through some of the other tools that are here. Instant Advisory Board and the next few tools are starting to get more into kind of a meta macro level of using AI. And this is really important to understand that from this point on, these tools are different than what we've talked about to this point. So if you've stayed with us this long, stay on for the next 15 minutes because you're going to learn different things now. So one of the top 3 use cases we've seen for artificial intelligence is being decisive, being thorough, and just being smarter on strategy and the path forward, right? And so we've created a tool here that has 7 diverse experts in one tool. So you can get feedback from a CFA quality financial expert, for example, at the same time as from what a billionaire would say, from tapping into Billionaire Collective Intelligence, at the same time from a accountant by leveraging the knowledge from the forensic accounting tool that we built out, also from a high-tech company CEO perspective, also from a founder perspective, and also from a centimillionaire perspective, all with different personalities. So as you ask it for advice, like I've typed out a question here below, just for an example, as you're debating what to do, like should I go left, should I go right, should I go left and right and divide my energy, then you can ask it, and you'll get a diversified set of feedback from 7 different experts at the same time. And by doing that, you're going to be able to have a more rounded decision on what you're doing, right? So here's Fred, the family office advisor. He's saying, yeah, pick 3 to 5 different subsectors of the industry. Here's Benjamin, the billionaire advisor. He's saying, don't go after 12 different areas. It doesn't make sense at all. Figure out what's strategic and how to focus. Here's Steve, sophisticated institutional CFO. Christy, a centimillionaire operator. Here's Clara. Here's Bert. These are all different personalities and feedback and different perspectives. Because if you just ask ChatGPT, what should I do about this? All right, it's giving you advice, but who's that advice from, right? Here, you're getting advice from high quality sources, but diversified advice. You're getting color and nuances on why you would maybe consider a devil's advocate position on something, right? So here's the boardroom takeaway summary. And here's 1 or 2 things that you could remember. So one thing I like to do with this is I like to type in, now take a vote from the board members. Which way would the votes be cast overall? And then you can do this and basically be like, oh, okay, well, 7 out of 7 said I should do this, or only 2 out of 7 thought I should go the way I was going to go. Let me check in with another business owner or 2, right? And it's not something to use instead of judgment, but it's just something that can help you if you need to make a decision same day. It can help you get more confidence in what to do moving forward. So that's what Instant Advisory Board is, and it calls upon some different GPTs that we've developed and different data resources. Again, we have 100 million characters of data behind all the different tools and these different silos. And this one is accessing several at once, much like our Capital Copilot. But the Capital Copilot is only available to a little bit more premium members like Investor Pipeline Builder members or VIP members because it leverages our investor databases. And it has 3,000 plus energy investors in the Energy Capital Copilot, 3,000 plus real estate investors in the Real Estate Capital Copilot, et cetera. And this one is specifically built for strategic advisory work. We have tools that help you navigate all of our tools. So if you're not sure what we have and what options there are, you can go to gainsuperintelligence.com and it'll bring up this tool, and then you can look at some of the tool options. The best place really is to go to familyoffices.com though and go to the join page, and then we have details and graphics on what's available there. But we do have tools to help you sort through all the tools, because some of you might think like, well, 40 plus tools is so confusing. But it's really not. And with any of these tools, you simply go to it, bring up the URL, it loads in your web browser like Chrome, and you can literally say, I do not know how to use this tool. How do I use it? Here's my pitch deck. How would I use that for my industry? And it will literally teach you how to use it in real time. This is another type of tool that's more macro meta level that almost all of you should have for your team. If you think about everything your company does and has done, whether you're running a civil engineering firm and you've put out 192 proposals the last 5 years to land 47 clients, or whether you run an investor club like us, or whether you run a hedge fund or a private business, you may have a sales team, an engineering team, a relationship management team, and when they're going to prepare for a meeting or a phone call, they need to remember all the best practices of what works in a proposal. What is the biggest value points? What are all the benefits of working with our civil engineering firm versus another one? What are all the benefits of taking capital from our private equity company versus someone else? What are the deal structures we offer? What are the things that we do that nobody else does in our industry? So we always want to shine a light on that. And that's what a Copilot, internal Copilot tool can do for you. So we use this for our team. This is not a tool for all of you, but it's inspiration to have a tool like this. If you do our pitch optimization program with our team, where we help you with your editing the video for your 1 minute video, we help you write your one-liner, we help you upgrade your graphic or brand if you want, we help you with your website, your one-pager. We'll also help you with a Copilot tool for your team. But essentially what we've done is train this on what works, what our offering is, and it can think alongside our team. And I know they like using it and know it works because our CRM has all these fancy functions, and there's one or two that I've showed to them, and I've said like, hey, maybe we could use this. Like, let's see if it works. And like one or two people use it, and then it kind of fades away. And I'm like, okay, it obviously just is not an amazing tool, because like otherwise you'd use it out of your own selfish need to make sales, right? But with this tool, we've had over 700 uses of it by my internal team of just 5 people, which shows how useful it is. So here's what I'm saying here. I'm on the phone with a lead who's raising capital for his private equity firm or her private equity firm. She's looking to meet with family offices in Texas and Florida. What are ways we could help her, and what resources do we have to help her gain leverage, right? And so John could be dialing someone, or Andres or Daphne or Jennifer is dialing someone. And then as the phone's ringing, they push enter because they just looked at the profile or the email, and they're giving them a call. And then now the results are starting to come through right as she picks up the phone. They say, oh, hey, Sarah, nice to meet you, et cetera. And then as she's explaining why she sent over the email, Xander gets reminded that it's 16 times more effective. It's scientifically proven by Robert Cialdini to meet in person, right? He gets reminded that we have investors right in their backyard, that we have these tools that could be very helpful for optimizing her pitch, that we have a member portal with 1,200 investor talks inside of it that she can access on her mobile app if she's walking through an airport. All these GPT tools are available on mobile app from OpenAI, very easy to use as well. It shows some ideal member options for her that she could be doing, such as the pitch optimization program or the VIP data plus events, so she can come to all the events plus access all the AI tools. I think you get my point here, but essentially it's like the salesperson has to remember all of these different components in real time, but also it could be a very specific use case. What if it's a dentist that runs a dental practice and we happen to have a dental discussion panel just last month at an event, or some interview with a centimillionaire made their money in healthcare? Might say, oh, by the way, we had this great interview. Richard interviewed John Paul DiGiorio, created Patron Tequila, just interviewed him last month. You can see it on the YouTube channel, and it's on billionaires.com. And anyways, I think you'd love to watch that interview. It's related to what you said in your email. or with Jeff Hoffman or Mark Cuban or Tony Robbins, et cetera. And it just gives you little reminders that is almost like a memory store for your brain so that for any lead that comes in, you can optimize and really explain the value in the way that's most specific to them and most helpful to them. And is most likely to get them engaged, really, right? I mean, that's the whole point of sales is to convince someone to take action that's in their best interest, that's going to add value to them. That's what your internal co-pilot tool should be doing. And we're going to talk about that next week at our event as well to help you get one of these created and explain all the things we've learned while spending probably around 600 hours so far this year on these tools. You're going to benefit from that when we meet in person. Um, so I'm going to go answer a couple questions here, and then we're going to talk about this last tool. Let's scroll down past some of these old ones. Does the tool integrate with other IR and deal flow tools like Affinity? No, we're not. We don't have APIs that work with Affinity. I'm not really familiar with Affinity, honestly, but the answer is no. If I put my business plan in your system, is the info about my plan confidential? Do I need to worry about someone else taking my ideas? So, Roy, here's my most sophisticated, most accurate answer that I know. Custom GPTs do not have memory between sessions, but if you chat with it for 30 to 45 minutes, it has pretty good memory within that session. It's different than your personal GPT, which will in general save some things to memory, especially if you tell GPT, hey, remember this, it's really important, save it to memory. Custom GPTs don't have that memory function for like privacy reasons. When we create our custom GPTs, there's a little checkbox that says, use this data to improve GPT's models. And I unclick that checkbox and make sure it's unclicked every single time we edit the tools. So they're all unchecked. So in theory, they're not using your data to feed into their models. That said, there's a recent court case where the court says, OpenAI, you must save all history in case we tell you as the courts that we want to see what somebody said before they went and did something bad in the world. We want to see that proof of what they searched for, almost like saving a Google search history, but within here. And OpenAI is like, we don't want to save that. We literally told them in these cases we will save, but in these cases we won't for your privacy. And OpenAI doesn't like that. And I think that Grok is committed not to do that. But that's like in the court system right now. But also I would just say that there's probably 20 national security agencies listening to every word of the webinar right now and listening for words that would make them concerned. And every big tech company, could be recording everything you say on your phone, or if you use Microsoft Word, is Microsoft sucking that data into their master brain? If you use Gmail, is Gmail scanning keywords that are used and not looking at your full email, but learning from the big data on that? Who knows? Probably, most likely, right? So it's big tech. And I don't think that they are evil, but could they be learning from some things? Perhaps, right? Should you say anything in there that would ever get you in trouble? For sure not, right? Like just don't even put it in there, right? If it's a concern. But the question comes up often, like, oh, should I have an investor sign an NDA before I tell them what I'm doing? I always say no, because if your only protection in the world is your NDA, and if someone just hears what you're doing, your whole business is destroyed. You don't have much of a business or idea. And probably you've not been in business a long time because it's all about the execution. Ideas are not really worth that much. It's about executing for thousands and thousands of hours and building the right team. There are some niches in biotech and some niches where an algorithm or some part is very important, but the secret sauce is like 1%. And you could still tell them what you're doing. If you can't at all, it just looks like amateur hour and people will go the other way, is what I've found. So I would just keep that in mind. Are there any one lines or pitch deck compliant approved by SEC FINRA to avoid restricted languages? Good question, Bobby. I would check with an attorney before using any materials with investors just to be safe. Obviously, never say anything that's not true. Always over disclose. Disclose if you're not sure. And the equivalent of the word bomb in the investment world is guarantee. Literally, unless you have a very specific insurance type product that literally is approved by the SEC FINRA for saying the word guarantee, you should not be saying that. And that goes for many places in the world, not just the United States. So, but I would check with the attorney before using anything to be safe, right? Could you, yeah, we'll go on to the next question here. Do your tools integrate with data only? I mean, you can export the tools in Excel, save it as a CSV file, and then you could use it within any CRM in the world, right? So versus building out custom APIs for the 92 different CRMs that are out there, that's just how we've had these built out. Do you have a tool that will search a list of potential clients and find what they invest in? Yes, that's our investor pipeline builder tool. Will help you find those types of tools. I'm going to jump back into showing just another tool, go through a couple slides, then we're going to do Q&A till the end of the webinar. So this tool is one that we're working on right now in real time, and it's a swarm intelligence tool that is going far beyond what the 7 instant advisory board tool did that we showed a couple minutes ago. So what this tool is doing and being developed to do even further right now is really look at all of the 100 million data points we have and provide the most comprehensive, robust analysis of a situation based on all of those different niches of expertise, so that it is, like you might have seen some headlines come out like with Grok Heavy. What it's basically doing is sending 10 agents out there, analyzing a problem or opportunity, having them argue with each other, present logic and facts behind the scene with each other, refine what they're suggesting to you, and then present to you the consensus view based on the most credible authority niche experts within there. And this is our attempt in kind of a beta version. It's not available in membership yet. It should be by next week. So we're working on it every day right now. We call it Swarma. It's your swarm intelligence agent that leverages all the best data we have for any challenge or opportunity that you are looking at, and helps you navigate that more fluidly. So it helps you make decisions, it can help you vote on things, etc. And so up here, I just said, use all of your modes and context data uploaded to analyze a situation. I'm looking at investing in this area. Again, I don't want to split my energy too much. Let me know how much I should focus, etc. It then gives an executive summary, insights, 6 options in a matrix. And then it goes through 9 different modes. We're building it up to get to 20 plus. It gives you a perspective from Dewey's perspective, from a deal negotiator, fee defender perspective, because we have a tool that helps negotiate fees and deals, from the investor advantage perspective. And when you understand that there's 1,000 investors transcriptions behind just one of these perspectives, then you can see how strong and robust all these different perspectives are, right? If a forensic accountant weighed in, from a family office creation, a billionaire perspective, et cetera. So the way to think about this is a very robust, basically instant advisory board tool, using essentially swarm intelligence of all these different data inputs at once. It has a few of them debate against each other, making that part more robust. So you can see the different perspectives debating with each other on the points to see kind of a devil's advocate. And then it comes to a consensus. And it says, well, based on all these different perspectives and all these data points, here is what they're saying you should most likely do. And here's a few things to keep in mind, et cetera. And then it comes up with a little bit of a plan for you. So the reason it's still in beta mode is that GPT-5 rolled out. We're beta testing how that changes some of this. We're getting the voting and the debating stronger, and we're making it so it doesn't just work in 9 modes, it works in 20 plus modes. But there's just 100 million characters of data to organize to get that done. And that takes a lot of testing and troubleshooting on getting the data to fit within the confines of what is allowed within GPT, essentially. So that's something we're pretty excited about, and we're working on right now in real time. I want to now jump back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to show you 3 slides and then jump back to Q&A, and then we will be wrapping up this webinar probably in the next 15 minutes, or if there's a lot of Q&A, 30 minutes. But if you just stay with me for 3 more minutes, we are going to let you go, and it'll just be open Q&A for whoever wants to stay on for that. But I've got a couple important things that are critical for using our tools before we let you go. Okay, so don't forget that we have these capital co-pilot tools, then energy, CPG manufacturing, for fund managers, for medical health. We also have it for fund managers, and we also have an investor co-pilot tool as well. Build an internal co-pilot tool. Look out for the Swarm tool coming really soon. You can see this on the join page of familyoffices.com to see all the tools that are the most popular ones that we offer. For where you are in your business, you may or may not use these tools the most, but these have been the most popular. And I think every single person on this webinar could get way more than the cost of membership back in value from just using 2 to 3 of these tools. And I think we've shown that here on the webinar. Here are our event dates. You can see these at familyoffices.com. Click on the join page. The dates are on there as well as our options for getting involved. Most importantly, if you're listening to this live, is next week we have our Investor Access series where you can meet investors in person, network with peer founders, investors, allocators, family offices, and have your laptops out, and we will use these tools in real time for your business, answer questions, Q&A, case studies, group sharing. You're going to leave you're going to leave in many cases knowing 20, 50, or 100% more about AI, and most importantly, how to use it for your business, right? AI is only powerful if you have the 40 plus 1.5 page long multi-step scripts, good quality data, structured output, next steps to take after that. That's what makes it powerful. Just going to GPT and asking it random things like, yeah, how many islands are there in the Philippines? Or, random questions about random things in life. Okay, it's interesting. It's like a better Google, but having all these tools structured out can change your business dramatically and help boost your IQ by 12 points. So check out our live events. You're 16 times more likely to close somebody if you meet them in person. You learn better in person. We're all more engaged when we're in person. And coming to one investor summit and our AI events next week, I think you'll see the value of the community and you're going to love it. All right, we want to show the options now for getting involved. The first option is event membership. It's just $249 upfront and then $249 a month rolling forward. It's just a month-to-month membership, or we have an annual option for $2,450. That gets you access to our 25 to 30 events a year event membership, right? Pretty self-explanatory from the name. It gets you access to 30 of our AI tools, all the AI tools except for the ones that leverage investor databases. The next level of membership is Investor Pipeline Builder. This gets you access to not the live events, it just gets you access to the 22,000 investor profiles in Excel, as well as all of our AI tools, all 40 plus of them, including all the capital co-pilots, all the investor pipeline builder tools, such as Family Office Finder, Investor Club Navigator. This is for people that either are international or they don't want to go to any events, they don't want to meet in person, and they just want the AI tools and the investor databases. The next level of membership is VIP data and event membership. This is for people that want options 1 and 2 together, and basically want to be able to come to the events as they please and come to 2 events a year or 15 events a year if you want. There's no limit on the number of events you can come to. And you get access to all the AI tools. And that's $16.99 upfront, $1,699, and then just $299 a month or $32.99 upfront for an annual membership. The last 3 options act different. For pitch optimization program, we help our members get their brand pitch dialed in on their one pager, their 1-minute pitch video, their 3 to 5 page website, logo revamp or branded upgraded or retouched up or totally redone if they want to. We also help you build out a co-pilot tool for your team if you'd like. We can help you with all of that. We do not include any speaking engagements or sponsorship exposure on any of these first 4 options. If you are a member, there are options to get an exhibit table or speak on stage for a 5-minute deal flow talk, et cetera. There's many different options. We can talk to you about that. But the pitch optimization program is for people that want to use my internal graphic design marketing team and get your materials dialed in and have access to all the AI tools, including all the investor databases and all the live events, et cetera. So as you move to the right, in general, almost everything is included for things to the left, with the exception of the first 2 options, right? Event versus AI tools. The last 2 options are bundled options for people that want everything I've talked about so far, but they also would like exposure on stage. They want to do 5-minute deal flow talks. They want to speak on a discussion panel. They want exhibit tables. You'd like to have your 1 pager on your deal distributed at every, investor mastermind you go to or every investor summit you go to, et cetera. So the full details of those programs are on the website for Investor Access Accelerator and Capital Raising Advantage. And again, go to familyoffices.com/join, and you can move forward with any one of these memberships or use the live chat on our website. Or I'll have my contact details up on the final slide, and you can reach out with any questions you have. We also have our phone number at the top of familyoffices.com. But these are the 6 ways of working with us, and the most popular ways for people to engage, with our company. So this is my contact details here. It's just richard@familyoffices.com. I'll share that in the chat in a minute because I want to unshare my slides and just take Q&A now for a little bit. Let me scroll down to where that is here. Would Family Office Club be open to co-hosting a Billionaires event? We do not co-host events in a traditional sense, but we do host large investor summits. And if anyone is interested because they have a venue at a hotel they own, or access to a big ballroom, or a university training center, or a corporate training center, like we've had trainings in the training center for Wells Fargo and Oppenheimer and RSM and many big brands and companies, we are open to partnering on someone who has access to a venue. Or if somebody literally wants to co-host an event, we wouldn't design a whole separate event than we're normally doing, but there are some ways we could partner and create what's virtually feels like a co-host, and we say the event's presented by X, Y, or Z. So you can always approach me with that, but we would not do a whole separate event because after running 300 events, we've learned a ton about it, and our team is, we spend millions of dollars a year just on the payroll for our team to get everything dialed in and do the events that we like to do them. And it was out of frustration of going to other events that we created ours. So we are the fastest moving event series in the investment industry. We are the only investor club in the world that offers artificial intelligence suite of tools, live events more than 4 to 6 times a year, and also have investor data profiles on thousands and thousands of investors. We have 22,000 of those. And we pride ourselves on having that 3-prong approach that nobody else has matched globally, that we've noticed at least. And so to maintain that, we keep the quality high by hosting all the events ourselves. Does Family Office Club keep a record of our inputs into any of these tools? No, we don't. Honestly, we don't even see a way that OpenAI or ChatGPT would allow us to if we wanted to. So I don't think anyone that runs a custom GPT can. There may be some API access way to do that, but I'm not aware that that's even possible, but we for sure do not. Prompts are so important. Can the tools provide feedback on your prompts themselves? Prompts are super important. The tools are trained to never reveal the full text of the prompts behind them, but they can give you coaching on your prompts. So if you want to go and come up with a prompt that's very specific to your niche, you can just ask within our niche tools because it has like deep expertise on these areas, like on pitch decks, deal structures, on due diligence, et cetera. And it can give you coaching on your own prompts, but it won't reveal all of our prompts behind the scenes. But next week, we are going to reveal at our in-person events a ton of our prompts and share exactly how we get the great results and what not to do and what's been the most painful lessons learned, what's been like a massive waste of our time, and what's been super easy and productive. So we're going to share all that next week. Ray, thanks for being here. Yep, appreciate it. And I'm glad that the event was, that the webinar was great for you. Is there a tool, this is Michael, that we can upload a project pro forma and analysis performed and receive a deal score based on lending criteria, capital stack, and deal structure? Yeah, Michael, great question. So we didn't cover it, but we have a bank capital copilot where I downloaded the FDIC database of several thousand banks, loaded it up into a tool. You say what you're looking for, what you're looking for in terms of a loan from a bank and where you're based and what industry you're in. And it will suggest to you the banks that are right in your backyard or lend to fintech companies or to self-storage groups all the time, et cetera, whatever your niche is. And it will give you that list and the contact details and websites for those banks. Many times you'll have to reach out through traditional channels to the bank, and it's just identifying what bank you should reach out to. but it does provide the contact details for the bank as well. So I would do that. I would also use our forensic accountant tool and have the pro forma and analysis there to see what it identifies. I would also use our Dewey tool and see what it finds in terms of due diligence issues when it comes to lending, et cetera. And you could use Deal Structure Ninja as well, perhaps. So I would put it into a number of those tools and run it through 5 to 7 tools. I mean, if you're working on something where you're going to have to raise millions of dollars and spend 100 plus hours of your life on it, spend 10 minutes putting it into 5 to 7 tools, right? I think that's the way to go. What net worth would you recommend someone start a family office structure? I would say when somebody gets beyond owning a single family home or two that they maybe used to live in, and beyond just having some stocks, and they start investing in private companies, and they start making investments into funds, and they start investing into real estate that's not real estate for them to live into, and their net worth at that point typically goes from between 5 to 10 million plus. People start getting into the realm of hearing the word family office and thinking, should I set up like a virtual family office, or like how do I gain the benefits or be as smart as a family office even if I don't have tens of millions of dollars? And I started this business completely broke in the basement apartment in Harvard Square with less money in my bank account than I do for rent that month. And I've just learned from family offices to grow my net worth and grow my business. And so I think that it's good to emulate family offices before you have hundreds of millions of dollars because they're just the smartest people in business. That's how they became a family office, right? And so I think that's a really important point to make. And I have clients that are worth 15, $20 million and basically have a very lean virtual single family office. And I have clients that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars and they really don't have anything formalized yet. And they come to us because they want to set up their family office. I also serve as the outsourced chief investment officer for a $150 million net worth single family office. And we've been helping them formalize their family office from having nothing in place to being formally set up. And we've helped about 250 clients with setting up and formalizing their family offices. So if anyone on this webinar needs help with that, reach out. Happy to work with you directly. You're not handed off to a team member. You'll be working with me one-on-one to help set up or start your family office. So happy to help with that. In addition to banks, do you have a database of debt funds or other specific lenders? We do have some data on that. In terms of debt funds, like hard money lenders, I'd have to talk to my data team and see how updated our data is there. But we do have some data in that area. We don't have a specific tool for debt funds. We just have the debt copilot tool. And then we have our real estate capital copilot. Some of those real estate groups are debt focused. So I think that real estate capital copilot tool could probably be very helpful to you. I saw a few more questions within this other chat area. One second. All right. So what if we can only join the virtual AI event? Do we still access everything as if we attended? Yes. Great question. So if you can't come in person, which I think in person is more valuable because it's easier to pay attention. Sometimes when you're watching virtually, text message comes up, a Slack, a Teams message, a phone call, and all of a sudden you forget there was even a live stream going on, right? Happens to all of us. But so I'd love for you to, if you go out of your way to come in person, we start at 10 a.m. We get done at 4 p.m. You don't even need a hotel. You can just fly into one of these cities, fly out, and not gone from the spouse and kids another day or extra expense of that. Would love for you to be there in person, but you'll get the same thing if you do virtual. You just won't be networking with people in person, right? And there's just the attention factor. Let's see what else is here. Do you offer a service to help first-time users? Yes, that's what our event is for next week, Bart. And then any questions you have when using our tools, this is for any members that are here live. If you run into a problem, just hit the share button at the top of the AI tool screen, a GPT screen, and you can share that conversation with our team and say, hey, this kind of like didn't do what I thought. Like, how do I use this tool? And then we can help you with that. Or you can literally just ask questions to the tool. But next week, our event is going to be a very thorough training tutorial on these tools. There are 37 no such agencies listening yet. Let me see if there's any one or two other questions here, and then we'll let everybody go. So one of our members is here. Gavin, will I be attending the event on August 21st in New York? Yes. Our events next week are being held in Dallas, New York City, Los Angeles, and Fort Lauderdale. And I go to every one of our events. I'm sure at some point multiple flights will get canceled or I'll get severely sick and miss one, but I've never missed one of our events in 18 years. So I don't plan on missing any of them. So you'll see me at all the events. We can meet in person. We can network. You can share feedback directly at the end of the event. If I don't have to run for a flight, I'll stick around and answer extra questions and network for an hour, et cetera. Jeff is saying he wants to share the webinar with one of his team members. Yes, you'll get a link to this webinar as a follow-up. If you don't see it coming through, just email me, richard@familyoffices.com. We'll get you a link to the recording. Great. Yeah. Thank you, Amoni, for being here. Appreciate it. Is there a tool where you can upload? Already answered that question. So unless there's, do we have foreign investors? Yes, we do. We have investors from Canada, Mexico, Brazil, some from Europe, some more from Asia, since I'm based out here in Hawaii, et cetera. So we work with investors and clients from all over the world. We are US centric because our events are in the US most of the time right now. Those are all the main questions I'm seeing there. I'd encourage you to go to familyoffices.com/join and just get your $249 a month membership or your investor pipeline builder membership or VIP membership going. As you can see, there's no way to fake real-time live demonstration of all those AI tools we just did. We spent hundreds and hundreds of hours producing them. And I think you could see just real quick from the results that we showed coming out in real time, sometimes literally 5 seconds later, that there is valuable insights coming from that. And I think that the last thing that I would emphasize, and yes, Audie, there is a replay of this because it's recorded. The last thing I would emphasize is that the quality of the data changes absolutely everything. And so having high quality, focused input, having the structured analysis and processes that need to be done to analyze it in the right way, using the high quality data, structuring the output, and then knowing the next steps, and then having the suite of tools so that you can go to the exact tool you need and get simple results, but then zoom out and use multiple tools at once. I think that is how you navigate artificial intelligence in 2025 to boost your IQ by 12 points or more. That's how you raise more capital. That's how you grow your business faster. And that's how you are much faster and smarter than someone who says, "Oh, this AI thing, it's nothing. What a joke. What's AGI? This is not helpful." I think we've shown today that you need to use your human brain and human relationships, but if it's supplemented by AI, you're going to get more done and be more thorough and more decisive. So I hope everyone enjoyed the webinar. Appreciate everyone's attention. We have a lot of fun building these tools. We'd love getting feedback. So if you're a member or once you become a member, please provide feedback to us as we go. I'm really looking forward to seeing many of you in person next week at our artificial intelligence laptops out tutorial workshops. Again, being held in Dallas, New York City, Los Angeles, and Fort Lauderdale. Go to familyoffices.com to get registered for that right away and start your membership. And we'll see you soon.